Welcome to your best bets. Monday nights. Another Monday night in the summer. We got a few weeks to go here before the city tournament. We're kind of getting into that time of the year where you can kind of feel in the air. We're past the 4th of July, midpoint of the summer. So we're kind of in countdown to city tournament mode here in Fort Wayne. And so joining me tonight, Zach Fitzgerald, a man that was scheduled to play a tournament over the weekend but did not. So he's only one of the three of us that actually had that happen to him. Zach, it was unfortunate you weren't able to play in the Three Rivers tournament this weekend, but you're still here tonight.
Yeah, I had entered, I think, on Thursday around the deadline, and I had sent Trent a message just saying, "Hey, I need an early tee time because I have plans around 3 o'clock." And then, I had a 9:18 tee time, which, let's say a 4.5 hour round that probably gets me done 2:30 ish, and then gets me to where I need to be. And then the rain hit, and there's an hour delay, and it was kind of something that I had to get to. So it was unfortunate, but hey, tournament still went on.
Absolutely. Johnny Strouser is here. Johnny, how are you? You before we went live, you just mentioned you had a long, hard day of doing yard work. So I'm glad you were able to make it.
Thank you. Yeah, after working a 80 some hour week, 7 days in a row and missing out on that golf tournament and seeing all the rain come crashing down. I'm not sure. They always say a bad day on the golf course is better than a good day at work. And I think I would have even preferred to be playing in the rain and in the elements and everything like that. So fortunately I couldn't play because of a work commitment, but I'm looking forward to talking about some local golf. And you're right, city's coming up soon, man. And I'm very, very excited and can't wait till that gets here.
I was just telling Zach before we went live, I just finished a gauntlet of youth baseball from April until now. Both my boys were playing. I think I had 37 games from the start of May till tonight, and we've kind of finished that, lost in the championship game. Really controversial in our league. A travel team was allowed to play in our league sparingly through the regular season, and they allowed them entry into the postseason tournament. And they took us out in the best of three series. So I'm not sure why that happened, but parents weren't real thrilled with it. When the adults get involved, it gets kind of ugly, usually in youth sports. But wrap up a good season at Wallen. And it sounds like I might be doing fall ball there as well. So I might get like a month break and we'll be back playing Wallen baseball for a couple more months. So you guys can live vicariously through me. I'm sure you're jealous of that for sure.
That sounds like a real full schedule there. Jesus.
We youth sports, we got a heavy load here. But tonight we're going to talk about the Battle of the Bends over the weekend. Nick Ihrie wins for the first time on either tour, Fort Wayne Golf Association Tour or the Three Rivers Tour, beats Chris Schweitzer by a shot with the 72. Bailey Marquardt, who was on the show a few weeks ago, finished third. Beats a pretty solid field out there at Riverbend. So congratulations, Nick Ihrie, who is joining us now. And I'm going to bring him in here.
So they let a team that is a travel team play in the league that did not play a regular season schedule, just an intermittent regular season schedule.
So they allowed the team, the travel team. They didn't play a full regular season. We played them a couple times to fill the schedule, which I had no problem with. But then they introduced the postseason tournament early last week, and they showed them to be in the bracket, and people lost their minds in our parent chat. And because we knew we didn't have a chance to beat them in the tournament, which is unfortunate, and the kids kind of knew it too. So they didn't lose a game in our regular season league, and they just they just rampaged through the tournament. Unfortunately, I think we lost like 21-4 tonight. Kind of tough seeing out there. I think it was 7-2 Friday nights. We were pretty close, but I digress. Nick Ihrie is here. Sorry, Nick, we were caught up in the semantics of my youth baseball with my kids. But Nick, welcome to the show. Glad you're able to make it. Congrats on the big win this past weekend at Riverbend. Any big celebration take place after that?
The big celebration was spending time with my wife, and I got to build our new crib and stroller and high chair. So we are 8 months pregnant. We're expecting our first here the week after City. So a lot of big things happening.
Congrats on that. That's awesome. I did see that via social media. So congrats to you guys. Exciting time. Well, I mean, there's no better way to celebrate than trying to look up instructions of how to put together like a crib or something like that, strollers, that kind of stuff. That stuff is a nightmare. So you win with a 72. You beat Chris Schweitzer by one. You know, I went through your scorecard, but we don't have that information from the Three Rivers Tour. But tell us about your day. You know, kind of how everything wound up the way it did.
Well, at Riverbend, you know, there's not a range to warm up on. So your first swing is, I feel like, always can go anywhere. So I started aiming it out in the middle of 9 because I know that's safe. And the first swing was pretty easy and gentle, and I finished a little early, and I hit like a 50-yard hook around the power lines into the left side of the fairway on 1. And it was a good miss, but I'll take it. And I hit it onto the green, and the green was still pretty wet because it just stopped raining. And when I putted that first putt on 1, kind of rooster-tailed with a little bit of dew and water on it because they hadn't quite dried out yet. And my putt was, the 1 green was a lot slower than what the practice green was because there was probably 20 or 30 of us on the practice green putting. So that was pretty dry from everybody putting. And I was pretty surprised by that. And then hole 2, hit a slice around the trees, hit it up short of the green, hit it onto the green about 15 feet, and I 4-putt because 2 did dry out. And I hit my first one about 4 feet by the hole. And if I would have marked it, I would have been in somebody's way. I'm like, I'll just tap in. So I tapped in, burnt the edge, picked up speed, and I was about 4 feet away again. I was like, oh, okay. So then I marked it. They both finished out, and I missed the next one. I just thought I was going to break, and it didn't. So a 4-putt. So I started off with a par and then a double after getting to the green regulation. And then, so I'm pretty upset. I'm like, this is not how I wanted the day to go. And 2 is one of the easiest greens out there. So I can't blame Riverbend or the greens or unplayable conditions. I just got a little aggressive and a little absent-minded. And then hole 3, I hit a big draw over the pond, and I hit the pine tree over the pond, and it kicked me out left, and I had like 65 yards in, and I hit a flop lob wedge over the tree in the bunker on the left side because the pin was front left, and a 1 hopped in for eagle. So,
Oh, wow.
Up and down. You know, you win some, you lose some. And so then I was like, okay, you know, I'm starting to feel good again after I got pretty upset. I hit driver on 4, cut into over the trees, and it was right side of the green. Pin was back right. I was kind of in a tough situation, so I kind of chipped it, and it ran across the green, chipped it again, close to the hole, tapped in par. And then the par 3s, I played the par 3s terribly. The pin was back right on 5. I ripped it off the front with my pitching wedge and had a very, very long putt from the fringe. And then 6, I ended up parring that one. 6, I like toe bladed my 9-iron into the trees on the right, and they saved me from going in the water. And then I chipped back on the green and made par there. 7, I made par. 8, I made par. 9, I made par. And then 10, I, again, like toe bladed a 3-wood, if you want to call it that, just blocked it. I was like 10 yards away from 14 green, way out right. And I ended up chunking that one because the pin was front right, and I was trying to hit a flop shot, chunked that one, chipped it up to about 8 feet, made that one for par. 11, I pulled my 7-iron into the trees, and just, again, terrible on the par 3s. I ended up finding it in the woods, chunked it out, chipped up, tapped in bogey. And then 12, I hit it dead straight through the corner into 14. Had to punch under the trees, but I caught another tree, punch again, chipped up, tapped in bogey. And then 13, I missed the green way right. And I'm not too upset about that one, but again, just missed all the par threes. And then I made par on that one. And then 14, I was like, okay, par 5, I could take advantage of this. Had a big cut the corner. And I remember you guys' podcast about the FWGA Riverbend, talking about placements. And that actually did help me coming into the end of the stretch here. I remember Garrett talking about how he played the back.
Mhm.
And, and then like how you can be aggressive or not be aggressive depending on where the pin is. And 14, the pin was way up front. So I knew I didn't want to be pin high or long. So I actually clubbed down. I think I only hit like 6 iron to stay short. I was like 30 or 40 yards short. And then I chipped up and made that putt for birdie on 14. And then I was like, okay, I'm feeling good. And then 15, I hit my best drive of the day. The little bit of crosswind, I hit a big draw. I had like 142 left, stuck 9 iron, made that birdie putt, and that ended up being a skin on 15. And then 16, hit it on, 2-putted, kind of lagged that putt. 17 was another tough pin all the way back left, and ended up making par there. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm still even. So 18, I played it safe. I hit it back into 17, and then aimed for the center of the green and just lagged that putt on 18. The pin was back right. That putt probably broke 8 feet. And I lagged that one too, tapped in par. Now, when I made par on 18, I shot even. I didn't think I was going to win because I know Bailey had been playing well and I knew Chris had been playing well. And they both, their body languages, because Bailey was the group behind me and Chris was the group behind him. And I could tell by their body language they were playing well. And they looked like they were in it. And I'm like, man, I didn't feel like even was enough because the greens were pretty wet and they were pretty receptive. And I feel like you could be a little more aggressive towards the pins if you wanted to be, if you knew where the landing spots were. And I didn't think that I won, but Wade was in my group and he was like, even could win it. And I really hadn't even crossed my mind. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm like, they got the college kids behind us and the Riverbend members behind them. I was like, that's probably not. But I was still happy at least that I knew I had a shot at the skin on 3 with an eagle there. That felt good.
I'll tell you that when I entered the tournament, Phil sent me a message and said, I see you're playing this weekend. And I said, yeah, I'm going to try to shoot 72 and see where that puts me because I feel like 72 is going to win the tournament out there most of the time. So good tournament. I mean, that's insane making double on 2, especially after hitting a good drive and then eagling 3 from kind of an out of position shot too, which is pretty crazy. So congratulations.
Yeah, that was lucky. I mean, it was more luck than it was skill. I mean, it was a one hop right in. I couldn't believe it. The guys in my group were like, "Oh my gosh, that went in." I was like, "Oh," because I couldn't really see it. I was kind of hitting around the tree, over the bunker. I just was hoping it hit the green. And I one hopped in. I was like, "Oh, well, thank you."
Yeah. Zach, I know you're pressed for time. You gotta run here.
Yeah. I mean, I can finish this part.
Listen. I don't want you to get in trouble with your wife. I mean, that's really all I care about.
I'll make it through this part.
Nick, you and I touched base after you mentioned that the show we did after the FWGA event, the controversial Riverbend show, and you talked about how you felt like that was Riverbend, and that we kind of messaged back and forth. How did it play Saturday? Play any different? You mentioned maybe the greens were maybe a little inconsistent early. Was that just due to the rain, you think, or did
yes,
it drive?
But it was the best move they made, delaying it an hour, because literally right as it stopped raining, because they were really supposed to tee off at 9 and it rained all the way up until like 9:50. And then, so they delayed it an hour. That first tee time was at 10. So then nobody had to play in the rain. So everybody had the same conditions, nobody got an advantage over another, and everybody got to avoid the rain. We all got to take all our rain gear off. Nobody had to wear any jackets or anything. Everybody put their umbrellas away because the forecast looked pretty good as soon as that rain got through. And delaying it an hour was, I think, the best decision that they could have made, and it worked out great for everybody. It's just, that first green with the trees guarding it and the dew and the rain. It played slower, and then 2 caught me by surprise. But the kind of the diamond in the rough on too is then I putted conservative the rest of the day and it seemed to work out.
Johnny?
So
You know, I when I talked to Bailey, when he ended up winning the or finishing high in the last event there, I was kind of asking him, you know, normally when you have a good round, and 72 is a very, very, very good round at Riverbend in any kind of conditions. Was there a point during the round, like a certain hole or after you hit a certain golf shot, maybe on the front nine or at the turn or whatever, where you're like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot a good score today. Was there a certain moment, or was it more of just good play, just kind of hanging on the whole time?
I would say my tee shot on 14, because like I said, 14 means you're done with the par threes, and those are always my kryptonite. And 14 is a par five, and using your guys' terms, I would consider myself somewhat of a bomber or of some sorts. Now, I've been working hard on increasing my swing speed and distance. So I think that's the one advantage I have in the field. And I know par fives are when I need to capitalize, because it seems like most of the time I make bogeys on par three. So I got to make up for it somehow. And, that tee shot on 14 was the first time that I had a plan and I executed it exactly how I wanted to, and it put me in a position to score. And then I'm like, okay, that one felt good. And then it just rolled there, like 15 felt good, 16 felt good, 17 felt good. It was just one after another. I mean, I had a plan and then I executed my drive, and then from the drives, my second shots, it's just one after another. And then so from 14 to 18, I think is when I played my best golf.
Yeah. Good. Golf is real fun when you have an idea what you want to do, and then especially in competition, when it actually the plan follows through, and you're just like, this is good stuff. I don't have it too often anymore, but I remember back in the day that playing like that, and just certainly when everywhere I'd look, I just hit the ball exactly where I wanted, and that's just the best feeling.
Yeah. I haven't felt it all year, but it's been coming in recently, and it's been good.
Well, before we brought you on, we were talking about the lead up to the city tournament, the next couple of weeks. So kind of hits at a good time, doesn't it? I mean, your confidence seems to be up. I mean, you got to be feeling good after getting this win.
Yeah, and this is the first chance that city-wise that I'll be playing a course for the second time. So luckily, I played in the city in 2019 when Patrick went low on the first day, and then they made the course pretty tough the next 2 days to make sure nobody's going to shoot 8 under again. And I got a good experience there of what city can be, of what tipping out a course and putting the pins in tough spots. That was my first, I think, true experience of playing on tough greens in Fort Wayne, and that was a very good learning experience for me. And I kind of ran out of gas in my third round, but I felt like I was managing the course well in my first 2 rounds, and I'm excited to come back again.
Zach?
I remember I've played a bunch of rounds of golf with you throughout the years now, and surprised that this is your first win. You hit the ball so high, and when you say that you think you're a bomber, obviously you're a bomber. I mean, I don't think that there's any. I've seen you hit shots that I could not even imagine hitting. I can think of one at Coyote in particular that I always talk about. But yeah, so really, really nice to see you win. I'm really happy for you. Obviously, we have a connection with your cousin Marcus, so it's really, really nice. Marcus was really, really excited and happy for you. I talked to him, and I also saw it on Facebook. So congratulations again, man. I'm sure that it's the first of what's going to be more than one. So that's awesome.
I can only hope so. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate that.
All right, Nick. Well, thanks for coming on, joining us, talking about the big win, and like we said, good luck in in city if we don't talk to you. But good to have you on, get you on, talk about some really good play. So good luck to you in city, man.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
And Zach, goodbye.
Goodbye, and I will see you guys next week.
All right, take care, man.
Bye.
Take care. All right. We went from 4 to 2 very quickly there. Yeah.
Wow.
And next up, Pat Fitzgerald is joining us. Oh, no.
Come on, why you gotta do that?
just felt right. I don't really have a punchline after that, but I just wanted to throw in Pat Fitzgerald somewhere
I
in
like
there.
Pat Fitzgerald. I
I
like
did
him.
too. I
I, he
listen.
was perfect for that program.
He's gonna bounce back. He's been rumored for NFL jobs for 10 years,
Yeah.
so it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a transition. Thanks, Nick Ihrie, for coming on. Congrats to him. Very cool. Seemed very excited. Thanks, Zach, for making his cameo tonight. So, you and I are we're gonna do a little bit of a debrief of the John Deere Classic and maybe a little Ryder Cup talk, and we'll do a little Scottish Open, and we're gonna be in and out of here quick. Uh, you know, I like the John Deere Classic a lot. I think it's one of those smaller events that's well run. I think it's well done. It has its very specific niche, and it's kind of just a fun tournament to watch because you kind of know what to expect going in. And it kind of turned out that way. I did not see any of Sunday. I saw a lot of Saturday. I did not see any of Sunday. I was preoccupied. This is one of those few events I did not see a literal shot on Sunday, but Sepp Straka just doing what he does, which is once every 12 or 14 events, he just kind of pops up and he is kind of unstoppable. The really low floor, high ceiling, major variance kind of player. Um, I mean, probably should have shot 59, um, but wins with a final round 62, and really kind of made it look easy out there. I went back and watched his highlights, and man, when that dude gets his irons going and that putter is kind of a lethal combination, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Sepp is that guy that really, really, really low floor, because he'll go missing now, maybe next year he might go most of the year without, scaring a victory there. But he was, good player in college, before college as well. Went to the University of Georgia. And is this now his second win or his third?
Yep, second. Now
Second win, and he almost won the playoff event. Yeah. So
with Zalatoris, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, can get his irons going and just knocks the pin out. And when that's not going, usually the rest of his game kind of suffers. But he played pretty good after the first day. Shot first round 2 or par 73 and had to shoot 63 on Friday just to make the cut, and just kind of rolled and played good Saturday, and was unbelievable on Sunday. Like, he wasn't even on my radar. I didn't know that he was even playing in the event on Sunday. So I get into work, and I know we talked a little bit Sunday morning, was just trying to figure out putting ourselves in position, because we liked a lot of guys that were out there, with Adam Shank and Alex Smalley was up there, Brendan Todd's, solid player. Chris Kirk was in there. Cam Young was leading it after 2 days. But Sepp Straka just went nuts. And I'm going to bring up his scorecard here. Dude should have shot 58. I mean,
yeah, because he birdies 14 or 15, right? He birdied the short par 4 so 14. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, he goes out in 28, 7 under par 28, pars the par 5 10th hole, and then runs the table for the next 4. Birdies 11, 12, 13, and 14. And then he's got 17 out there still, a par 5. And 16 was, just an okay, whatever. And so he pars those holes, and then inexplicably hits a good drive on 18 and pulls it left into the water. And then just kind of, limps it in and makes double, shoots a 62. Like, they always say those like worst 62 I've ever seen. It's kind of, I mean, he played unreal the first 14 holes, and he was all he needed one more birdie for 59 there, and then obviously it didn't end up converting. But he is a good player. He's one of those guys. We joke about certain dudes, like he's like like Robert Streb is just a nothing burger for 25 ends during the season, and then he'll finish second or he'll win in the fall series,
right, and
ends up retaining his card. It's just one of those things. But Sepp is a guy. After he won that event at one Honda, he beat Shane Lowry there. I was really impressed. I like how he drives the ball. I like his irons. and I like his putting. But the thing is, just with him, and it makes it real tough to bet. Is it's just nothing. It's just missing cuts. It's not his floor isn't top 40. It's 115th place, type of thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, this could propel him, for the Ryder Cup team and playing good golf, and we'll see.
Yeah, there's certain guys, like if you want to bet Scotty Scheffler top 20 every event, you know you're probably going to get that a lot of, at least especially the last year. Sepp Straka is not one of those guys you would bet in those top 10, 20 markets. You really you would just bet Sepp Straka to win outright.
Yep.
Because he's either going to be in contention to win or he's going to miss the cut. And I kind of like that about him. I mean, he's literally all or nothing. We mentioned how he just showed up out of nowhere, almost beat Zalatoris in the playoff event. I think it was Spieth's win at Hilton Head last year when he almost won that as well.
Oh
But
yeah.
but there's not like he won't have this run of like 7th, 14th, 25th in a row. It'll be like MC third, MC, second. It's really an interesting thing when we talk about the Ryder Cup for the European team. And I kind of wanted to not we don't necessarily have to get too deep into the weeds with breaking down their team, but we've talked about how there's a certain set of guys that we know are going to be on that team. We're talking about Rory, Rahm, Hovland, Hatton, Fitzpatrick, Fleetwood, Lowry. That's 7. Did I say Hatton? Yeah, that's 7.
Mhm.
I think we can probably expect a guy like Justin Rose to receive a captain's pick because of his solid play. But there's a lot of question marks. It's kind of wide open beyond that. Rasmus Hogard, he won a tournament, the Euro tournament over the weekend, but largely he hasn't been playing great before that. His brother's also in there, Adrian Maroc, Robert McIntyre, and then of course our guy Ludwig, right? Maybe the biggest question mark, but to me, I think he should be on that team because you're not only getting him experience, for this year, it helps kind of propel him forward in future years. He's kind of the Scotty Scheffler of this team, maybe less accomplished, what Scheffler was a couple years ago. But Straka, I mean, it can be good and bad for the Ryder Cup, right? Like we talked about this just major variance he has. He either has it and he plays like a top 10 player, or he's outside of like a top 200 player. Maybe for the Ryder Cup, that's kind of what you want. If he's having one of those off weeks, maybe you just hide him and you play him in singles, or if he's on, you can play him 4 times. I don't know. I mean, is that the guy you kind of want for the Ryder Cup, especially with this European team where you kind of need those high floor guys, or I'm sorry, high ceiling guys?
Uh, yeah, I guess, but I mean, you want the high ceiling guys, but his floor could be
Yeah.
0-3-0. I mean, it could be, he could just get boat raced by, you throw the Cantlay, Xander team at him and somebody else, and it could be ugly. But
Brooks and DJ.
one of those guys is going to be on the team.
Yeah.
And DJ's not. But no, there's a lot. You've got the few stalwarts, and then you've got the aging vets who basically have went to live, and really their play hasn't warranted, being selected. I think if you're Luke Donald, though, you hope Sepp is playing well, but he doesn't end up qualifying through through the automatic qualification system, because you got to look at that, because I mean, you've got, there's the Hogards, and then there's Victor Perez, who's a good player, then you've got Bob McIntyre and Ludwig Aberg, and you got some interesting picks. He would definitely not be the worst, because you catch him and he gets the right, if he's teamed up with the right person, I mean, and playing pretty well. I don't mind him at all, but you look at like his major championship record, it's just not anything at all. So it's like, well, once you get to the hardest of the hard golf courses and everything like that, is it really a good pick? So in my opinion, like even right now with as well as he's playing, there'd be 12 other guys, I think, and I don't know who those 12 European guys are, but there'd be 12 other guys that I could probably pick ahead of Sepp Straka.
Okay. Okay. So you're not a huge Sepp Straka for the Ryder Cup guy, for
This
at least for the Europe
No,
team.
I just that floor man, he's a liability, and that's
Yeah.
you can't have against this United States team, you can't have guys that you have to truly hide. And if it's just always weird though, because lately these European teams have been paired up weird. Like Patrick Harrington, I think he did that team a disservice in Whistling Straits on how he paired him up. But having a guy like Straka, I just don't feel it.
I was looking at the Europe. They have the European points list and the world points list. Right now, if qualifying ended today, Yannick Paul would be in.
The
He'd be an
German,
automatic qualifier. But yeah, you mentioned like Victor Perez. I think he's a really solid player, and I think he's probably a better player than Straka. Morank's had a great year. I think he's going to be on this team. I still think, like I said, I think you got to put Ludwig on. Some guy like Aaron Rye, Alex Noren,
yep.
Dietrich. I mean, so there are some options. I don't, I'm not worried about any of those guys from an American standpoint of having to face, oh God, I gotta face the team of Adrian Maroc and Alex Noren. I mean, that's not gonna scare anyone for sure. Um, but just to kind of keep everyone abreast of what's going on, that European team has a lot of a lot of gaps here to fill the last couple months before leading up to the Ryder Cup, and not the American team I think is a little more solid. There might be one or two question marks of how they're going to fill that team. Speaking of that and the John Deere Classic, what do we make of Cameron Young at this point? Are we to the point where we're like, all right, I'm kind of getting bothered by him not winning an event when he was a 36 hole leader and a very weak field, like he was this week. And it's not been a great season for him. Um, are we worried about Cameron Young, or are we just kind of in a holding pattern?
I think we're definitely in a holding pattern. I still love his golf game. I love his what looks like what his mental makeup is at these events, and it's just one of those things that this is only his second year on the PGA Tour, right? So I mean, there's a learning curve, and he kind of did the thing, caught everybody by surprise, and played great golf, and was swinging it really, really well, and making a lot of putts and everything last year. And it's just with the weight of expectations and balancing that out, and a lot of times you trust your game in a different way, and you have more higher expectations. So the shots that he wouldn't, it just the way he kind of prepares himself and everything, he's still learning, and it's not like he was this super elite college prospect like a Colin Morikawa or I was going to say Matthew Wolff, but that's just kind of weird.
Oh, geez.
But I didn't even think about that until
he's wasted talent.
holy Jesus, Brooks just body bags him.
Anyways, how did Wolf
huh?
do this weekend in the live event? Did Wolf play well? Do we know?
Don't know. They didn't show the thing live. I actually was very interested in watching the event live because I did kind of want to see it in the morning, but the CW was playing Blackish marathon there.
It's good.
Saturday and Sunday. Yeah,
it's more recent than like Charmed,
Yes, true. But anyways, back to Cam Young. I'm not worried about him now. Would he be like a top guy right now that I would pick for the Ryder Cup team? There'd be definite pause for that. But I just think, like I said, it's just guys have off years, and just where something doesn't quite click, or he's just not seeing lines on the putts, and maybe just something is slightly off. I think he's that good that it's just figuring out something and getting it going. And then I'm not worried. I think he'll win 2, 3, 4 multiple PGA Tour events, as he kind of gets more comfortable and gets older.
Yeah, it is funny. You mentioned last year versus this year. I think obviously the weight of expectation is there now. Um, it seems, and I haven't looked at his stats, it seems like less putts are dropping, in that like 8 to 14 foot range. And that's probably the difference. I don't think his irons maybe are as crisp. He's hitting as close as he did last year. I think we know his elite skill is driving the golf ball, one of the elite drivers in the world. It is a bit frustrating to see him lead at 36 hole mark and not really capitalize on an event like this. But by the way, Matt Wolf dead fucking last at the live event.
Did he really?
Yeah,
God damn it.
he was set. He not terrible his first 2 rounds, but I think it looked like a 79 his final rounds to finish last by 3 shots. So tough, tough.
He's
Um,
got some mentals going on there.
yeah. By the way, Sepp Straka's 27th ranked player in the world now. Not too far behind Justin Thomas. Just put that out there. Um, the other guy that I wanted to talk about was Denny, kind of in the same boat as Cam Young. But Denny's had an unbelievable year. Should have won the Memorial. Really should have won the Memorial. I mean, there's been 2 or 3 events where he's been right there. I expect a little bit more out of his Sunday. Didn't seem to have it. I didn't see a shot, but surprised he wasn't one of those guys coming down the stretch. And Denny's, I think, on the outskirts of discussion of the Ryder Cup team as well. I mean, God, can you imagine him in match play with that putter? I mean, that's got to be a consideration, especially the type of course they'll be playing in Rome. I think he's not a terrible course fit. And again, we always talk about match play. Having an elite putter like that it hits different, doesn't it?
Yeah, Denny's got no chance at being picked.
No
He's gonna
chance.
have no chance. Not that I'm not saying that he doesn't, he shouldn't, but I kind of underrate him. I think more than you do. I don't look at really at his stroke gain numbers. I know he's a great putter, and I feel like I agree. He should have won there. I really thought he was going to win this week as well at John Deere, but no, Zach Johnson is not going to pick Denny McCarthy.
You're probably right. I think there's one spot. I'm just going to go through it. Scotty, Wyndham Clark,
Yep.
Brooks, Xander, Cantley, Homa. That's your top 6 in points. I think no matter what, all 6 are on the team.
Yep.
You could maybe say like, oh, Max hasn't been playing great. I don't see any scenario where he's not on the team.
Zach's picking him.
Yeah. Spieth, Morikawa, Fowler. Shout out Zach Fitzgerald. Fowler will be on the team. JT, who will be on this team.
JT will be on the team.
It doesn't matter. That's 10. I think Keegan is pretty close to automatic. He's 7th in points. He's got 2 wins this year. I think Keegan is on this team. So that's 11. You're talking about one spot for Cam Young, Sam Burns, Danny McCarthy, Tony Finau. Well, Finau. I kind of forgot about Finau. Finau would probably be the inside track for that 12th spot, I would think.
I would, I'd pick Finau. I think he excels at these competitions, and just what he brings to the table, both on and off the golf course. I think he's ideal.
Why is he 18th in points?
I don't know. He won all those events too.
He's won.
It's more weighted this year, and he hasn't. Yeah. Well, he still won. Yeah, that's kind of crazy that Kirk Kitayama, who's won an event, well, he won an elevated event, and like Will Zalatoris is ahead of him.
Yeah, what the fuck is Zalatoris in front of him for? I know it's a 2-year. I know it's a 2-year scale, but
unless it's the majors, and Finau's has not been good in the major. Finau's not good in any of the majors this year. Like
he's won right? four times.
I agree. I would take. I mean, Finau at 18.
But I think Finau's on the team. So I think that's the 12, and I think Burns and Young and Denny are going to be on the outside, and Dustin Johnson as well. Anything else from John Deere?
No, I actually thought that the Open Championship was this week because
Oh,
it always
shit.
used to be before, and I forget that they have the Scottish Open. And I always liked, because they always made this big freaking deal that the telecast would, that anybody who played in it got the chartered flight out
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
United Kingdom and everything. It just made this huge deal about it. But I actually don't mind that event either. I watched a little bit of it Saturday and Sunday, and I like the golf course, and it's always pretty compelling. It was disappointing uh, for a guy who had a lot of win bets on some guys finish in the top 10, that Straka just, like I said, just boat raced everybody and kind of took it out. But that event though, I think is an underrated one.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I had Alex Smalley. I felt like he was going to win because his iron play was just phenomenal over the weekend. But I mean, he didn't play poorly. He just got boat raced in the final round.
Yep.
But final my final take. Ludwig, I think he's going to win in the fall. I think he's going to win a fall event, and I think he's close. He can't put 4 rounds together yet. It seems like he put 3 really good rounds together this week. Saturday was an off round. Um, he put 2 rounds together at Rocket Mortgage. I think Ludwig's going to win sometime in the fall. I still think he's going to be a superstar. Um, yeah, that's my take.
He's learning again. And just an FYI about him. These lines we're noticing, I know you kind of caught this months ago, and I've seen it more, is you kind of got to jump on these next tournament lines like Sunday night. You can't
Yeah.
wait till Monday because they move so much.
Yeah.
We'll talk about a couple that move, but like Aberg though, he's getting shorter and shorter odds because I think the odds makers think that he's going to win as well. And he's a little bit, I
Yeah.
not really that great with the odds and everything, but get him Sunday because he's going to get a lot of the handle Sunday overnight and Monday morning. So if you're like him, like you said in the fall, which I'll be betting him, get him on as soon as you can.
Yeah, and we'll talk about more about this week, but I feel like he's a similar number in the Scottish Open as he was for the John Deere, which is kind of crazy because it's such an exponentially better field. He's 45 this week. I think he probably closed around 25 at John Deere, but I know he started somewhere around 30 or 35. Yeah, his numbers, it's reflective of everyone just being on him, and they're pricing him that way. I think he should be definitely much higher than that, but I think everyone wants to be part of that first win when it ever happens. I don't think it's going to happen at the Scottish Open, but again, I think it's going to be one of those fall series events with a little bit of a weaker field, like a Vegas or Houston Open, whatever. But he's got just unbelievable talent in game. I think he'll put it together sometime soon. Yeah, Scottish Open, not the Open Championship this week. This is, I think we talked about it in our last 2 weeks ago. I think this is the last elevated event. Is this an elevated event?
I don't know. I don't know if it is an elevated event. I mean, it's got the field of an elevated event.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got to be the last one. I would
It's gotta
think.
be. It's not the Renaissance, it's the Renaissance Club, is that right?
I heard somebody say that today, and I was like,
I believe so.
I kind of like that, the Renaissance.
Renaissance. Yeah, really good field. Xander won here last year, went part of his back-to-back wins from Travelers to the Scottish. I know it's a dope design. I don't really remember a lot about this course, but it is a modern Scottish links course. I know that it was pretty windy last year because the winning score was 7 under. It got pretty tough over the weekend. Um, I think it's pretty closely. It's Edinburgh, which I think is pretty close to the sea um, coastline there. Which, by the way, what's the difference between a sea and an ocean? Do you know? Is there?
I think a sea is just a larger. It's got to be larger than a lake. But
Yeah,
it can be salt water. It can be salt water. It's like larger than a lake, smaller than an ocean, and I think a sea is got to be like a saltwater body of water.
Yeah, because it's like I think of like the Mediterranean Sea, which is it's huge.
Yes,
But
that's
I
very
don't
huge.
know. I don't know what the distinction. What's the difference between like the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea? I mean, it's all salt water.
It is all saltwater. It's just
I'll work on that while we're doing the show here.
thank you. Wow, that's a great question. I'm actually very interested to know. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, it's the golf course. It's going to be windy because it always is there. The Tom Doak's one of the premier golf course designers of our generation right now. It's got 5 par threes and 3 par fives, so that makes it a par 70, which is kind of interesting. So it still has the 3 there, but it's going to look like a British Open Championship golf course on how he designs it, but it's not going to be a true one with all the gorse, all the, it'll have the long grass and it'll have kind of those weird little pot bunkers and whatnot. But it's pretty cool. It's a good little warm up for and it's morning golf, which is cool. That'll be fun. But
Sure.
it'll be a good field, and it's slightly different, but it's just like a good little appetizer for these open champion golf courses.
I have a small quiz for you. Last year, there was someone that jumped out to a sizable first round lead with a 61, and afterward they made the. By the way, I found this out doing some research today on the Scottish Open. He made he was talking to the media, and he was quoted as saying, "It's fun to be an artist out there." Do you remember who said that from last year's Scottish Open? Because it's kind of lived on. Because you would
No.
not make the distinction that this guy is an artist.
Was it Pat Cantlay?
It wasn't, but I could see him saying that.
Yeah, because it was, but I don't know though.
He's now on Live. It was the one and only Cameron Tringali, the artist.
Fucking the artist. Jesus.
I laughed pretty hard when I saw Cam Tringali said he just appreciated being an artist out there. Like we said, really good field, whether it's an elevated event or not. A lot of guys are over here prepping for the Open. I know of some of the top guys. Rahm's not in the field, but I think it's going to be a really good tournament. And like you said, it's a really nice appetizer for what we got and coming in the last major of the season here. So let's get to the lines. Scotty Scheffler at 6.5 to 1, Rory McIlroy at 7.5. Those are the two favorites that have some separation. Cantlay at plus 1,200, Xander at plus 1,400, Hovland and Ricky Fowler are at 18 to 1, Hatton and Fleetwood at 20, Fitzpatrick at 22, Spieth at 22, Shane Lowry at 30. Those are the folks that are 30 to 1 or under. Any appetite for the top 2 there, John?
I'm praying that first of all that Rory doesn't win this week. Please, Rory, just play good, get your game going for Hoylake. Just don't win this event. Scotty's a little too short at plus 650. I don't even know if I had a bonus like maybe plus 1,000. I might want to consider something like that. Of the two, I lean Scheffler, and I just hope Rory doesn't win because we've got next week that we've got to worry about. And with that tough field, that strong field, I mean, Scheffler's game seems to fit because of how unreal he's striking the ball. But would you take a piece out of that plus 650?
No, but should he win soon based on the way he's playing? Probably.
Yeah.
Again, I think we highlighted he's having maybe the best ball striking season since peak Tiger, like peak Tiger shit. And I mean, Tiger was playing against basically plumbers and firemen, right? Shout out JJ Reddick.
Thank you.
I mean, compared to what we have today, it kind of was, Jeff Sluman and, you know, the
I,
first
what do you got
version of.
against what do you got against Jeff Sluman?
I'm just saying. I mean, if I had to
But-
compare Sluman versus like Xander Schauffele, I mean, I'm
Yes,
taking Xander.
I know what you mean though, but
But no, no, I just think Scotty is. I mean, if he continues this, it's got to pay off at some point. Um, it's shocking he's only won twice this year, right? The Players and Phoenix. Yeah,
Phoenix,
that's right. So it's got to be paid off at some point, whether it's this week or the Open or playoff events. I don't know when it's coming, but he's getting another win. So I'm not going to bet him at 6.5-1 in a really good field. And I won't bet Rory either.
yeah, I agree there. Of those top guys, I don't like the number, but again, I think it's pretty appropriately priced based on how the first two are. I do like Pat Cantlay this week. Seems to fit the golf course well, and I think these conditions, he can definitely play through. And he it seems yearly he'll figure out a time during the season to really start playing some good golf, and his good golf is better than most people's good golf. So, this, I think the course kind of fits. I don't dislike it at all. I'll probably still bet him at the 12-1. Hopefully I can find a better number, but I think that's about what we're looking there. Another guy I don't hate, although after winning Memorial, is Vic Hovland. This seems like this would be a good fit. He's not playing in many tournaments, but I've seen social media where he's playing a lot of golf still, so he's still in tune, working on his game and everything. And winning at Memorial, that's a pretty huge deal there to show that he can play. And I think if I had to pick an event, a major championship that he would win, it would be the Open Championship. So I think his game would translate very, very, very well to the Scottish Open there. So those are the two in the top, top 5 or 6 or whatever that I've got my eye on.
Yeah, I did have circle Cantlay today because I agree with you. Although I did hear this over, maybe it was today. I was listening to another podcast, golf podcast, and they were kind of making the comparison of is Patrick Cantlay just Ricky Fowler from years ago? A lot of good finishes. Now I argue that Cantlay's probably a better player now than Fowler was, but it was an interesting way to think about what Cantlay's doing the last couple of years. Again, you could argue Cantlay was maybe the best ball striker in the world, like in January, February. His numbers were outstanding. Maybe regressed a little bit, but I still think off the tee, he is so good this whole season. And I think I'm just waiting on that putter to kind of revert back to what we are used to with Cantlay. Too many events where I've seen him lose strokes putting, which is shocking to me. So I think I'm with you on Cantlay. It feels like one of those events that he should perform well. I'm going to talk about a guy that I never talk about really, but I kind of like the setup for him. He's been pretty consistent with his starts on the PGA Tour this year. I think he is pretty reliable when we're talking about difficult, tough conditions. He's had a win at the API when it's been really, really hard. A couple of years ago, Terrell Hatton. I never bet Hatton, and I don't know why. Never. But I think if it gets tougher and it gets windy, and so I might have to look at the forecast. I think I trust Hatton to be around on Sunday, and I like the number at 20, 22. It's 20 on DraftKings, but you might find out a little bit better on another book. So Hatton, I'm circling as well. I can't believe Ricky Fowler is at 18-1. I think he was like 18-1 at Rocket Mortgage, a much weaker field. I actually don't mind him next week. I don't know what the number is going to be on Rick next week, but I'm going to pass on him this week. I also like Jordan Spieth in theory this week as well. I always like him on links golf courses. I think it suits his style of game. He is an artist. He really is an artist.
Yes.
So I think this type of golf is always suited to what he does well. So I am interested in Spieth as well at 22. Although then I saw him with what he was wearing at Wimbledon, and made me feel less good about him.
You don't think there's an iron, like,
Right.
iron
Right.
and ironing board there in the, I mean, you had, for people who didn't see the picture, they had Justin Thomas, Jordan, and Ricky Fowler with their wives, and they went to Wimbledon there, and JT and Rick were looking good, and I think Jordan had the right idea. Just you get an iron, you maybe wear a tie, little vest action, something like that. This is, you gotta, these fellas got talk about this beforehand. Maybe that's what the two Florida guys, JT and Ricky did, but Jordan was definitely left out there, and wearing the sneakers as well.
Wasn't great.
I don't know.
Yeah, JT, man, he looked good. He looked really good. 35 to 50. Wyndham Clark, Minwoo Lee at 35, Homa, JT, Justin Rose at 40, Burns at 45, Ludwig at 45, Tom Kim, who I think kind of came busting on the scene at this event last year. He's at 50, Sanjay at 50, Corey Connors at 50. One guy I had circled in my mind that I liked thinking about this event over the weekend to bet was Minwoo Lee. And then I saw his number and I was like, no fucking way I can bet him at 35. But I do like Minwoo Lee in theory because I think he's close to busting through.
I actually like Minwoo Lee this week, and I don't mind the number. I don't think it's as good as it should be, but I don't think a lot of these lines recently with any of these sports books has been very, very good, because I think these sports books get cooked with the just all the amateur bettors and everything like that. So, but as far as playing well, Minwoo Lee, I don't mind him in a top 10 or top 20. You can definitely get him in top 20 at plus money. He's a guy there. I'm going to bet Ludwig as well, 45 to 1. It's just going to be, I think, an auto bet going forward. Like you said, I don't know if he'll win. So like it might be a 40 to 1 win bet, and then I might bet him plus 450 as a top 10 as well for insurance there. But him shooting 63 in the final round, and actually had he was at the top of the leaderboard at one point. Mm-hmm. On Sunday. That was a big deal there. So those guys, and then the one I'm kind of liking is Sanjay M. His win equity though is not good. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll look in something in the top 10 or top 5. But as good of a ball striker as he is, you'd think he'd be able to play in the wind pretty well. When he's up at 50 there,
it's a good number.
I think he's worth at least a nibble.
Yeah, he's been quiet the last couple months. He's been pretty quiet. I assume yes or no, JT at 40.
No, he's horrible right now. I mean, he's terrible. He had one good round at Travelers on Saturday.
He finished top 10 at Travelers, though, didn't he?
Did he? Yeah.
But Detroit was bad. It was very bad.
Yeah, Detroit was bad. But it's just, who knows? We've got a little slower greens. It's just not his year, and that's okay. And you just regroup, after all these events and everything, and but I mean, you can't trust him to even make the cut. I mean,
it's tough. I mean, we've seen it from a lot of these guys where they've gone through a slump. Spieth went through it. I guess we just have to accept that Justin Thomas is in a slump, It might just be this whole season.
Yeah.
It seems unbelievable because he's been so good and so consistent since 2015, but I think we're there. Yeah, I besides Minwoo Lee, I don't love anyone in this range at the number they're at. Um, Tom Kim, maybe he's got some good vibes on this course at 50s, semi interesting. I was looking at Connors earlier today because he came out at 75-1, and I almost took him and I didn't, and now I'm pretty regretful because he's already been bet down. I don't mind Connors, but I'm not going to bet him. 50 and above. Um, Throw some names up there. Adam Scott's at 55. Alex Smalley from last week, he's at 60. He started over 100-1 this morning.
Wow.
I mean, he finished top 10 in this event last year, so he's been bet down quite a bit. Bob McIntyre at 90. He was in contention last week at the DP World Tour events. Anyone else catch your attention through through these lower odds?
I'm going to bet Rasmus Højgaard. He won last week on the DP World Tour. So he finally breaks through. I mean, he's such a young guy, so it's like not finally, I guess, but just showing his his ceiling there by winning a DP World Tour event, and it's tough to win twice, 2 weeks in a row, but you look at him in a top 10 or top 20 market if you don't like it to win there, but 75-1 is a pretty good number there. Aaron Rye, I think he's getting close. I'm not sure if he'll ever win an event, and this might be just a little bit too big, but I think he won this event before it was a co-sanctioned event. So that was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
Playing good golf. Do like him for first round lead. He's just kind of an auto bet every week for first round lead. Everybody write that down because he seems to he can go deep, and he's usually pretty good starter there. And then also
two gloves.
Two gloves, yes, iron covers and everything. So I mean, he's just. But
Yep.
I mean, Duke can play. It's just a matter of him putting 72 holes together. He's just not quite there, but he's learning, and he's done it overseas, and I do like him, and I don't mind him at the 65-1 number there. And then I don't like as a win bet, but I think Bob McIntyre, like you said, he probably should have won the event this week here. He was leading it with I don't know, there's like 6 holes to go, hit it in some real tall weeds, end up making double or triple on like the 13th or 14th hole, and just didn't have enough holes left to recover after he lost that lead there. So good golf right there. 90-1 I think is pretty appropriate, but you can get plus 750 on a top 10. So he's a guy that did pop out at me.
I like that, and I think he's clearly motivated. That he's got that Ryder Cup potential berth hanging out there. I like Dylan Wu at what's he at? I just had his name and I lost it. A guy that's been playing really nice golf on the PGA Tour for the last couple months. He's 300-1 to win, but 20-1 to finish in the top 10. So I'm going to take a nibble on Dylan Wu top 10 there. I really like him. He didn't play great at the John Deere. I thought he'd played better, but he was there at the Rocket Mortgage, and he's had some really nice finishes. So I think that's kind of an absurd number for him. Also, I'm going to go back to Austin Eckroat at 180-1. I was really heavy on him at Rocket Mortgage, and he missed the cut. That's okay. Guy that's his numbers have been off the charts the last couple months. A ton of good finishes. 180-1 to win. 12-1 for a top 10 for Austin Eckroat. So I'll go hit those guys as well. That's going to be my 2 bombs down the board this week at the Scottish Open. Anything else?
I like those.
Yeah, we'll see.
These names deeper down the board here don't love them.
Yeah, a lot of the obscure DP World Tour guys.
Yeah, one guy I might consider. People know more for Twitter is that Eddie Pepperell, but he has a has a tendency to show up at certain events and
Yeah.
just play random good golf, and usually in these pretty good fields. It's like he's one of those, he's like a European tour version of a guy who just comes out and has a couple good finishes and secures his card for next year. So he's got a job and ends up, doing something like that. So, what is he, 350 to 1? Nah, probably not going to win, but you look at him in a make the cut top 40, you could probably get him at like plus 500 or something ridiculous like that. So, something like that might be a good bomb play, or you maybe play him in the top 10 at 22 to 1 in the top 10.
I like some of those bomb top 10 plays, actually. The more we look at him. Another guy that's down there, Michael Kim. He's had a really nice season, and he's down there at 300 to 1 as well, 20 to 1 for a top 10. So I might have fun playing a couple of those top 10s, which are, pretty close to it's just, you win the same amount of money if you do, bet Terrell Hatton at 20 to 1 to win. So I like those plays.
Yeah, you know what they need to have, and I'll have to look for the market, is top finisher with the last name of Yu. You mentioned Dylan Wu.
Dylan
We
Wu.
got Kevin Yu, Dylan Wu, Brandon Wu,
Sorry.
and then there's this other guy here.
Oh, there's another one?
There's another one. Where is he at here? He's got a weird first name. Not a weird first name, it's just one I can't pronounce. Oshan Wu.
Oh.
He's sitting at 1,000 to 1 to win.
Oh.
So I think Dylan Wu, you could get it like plus 200 top Wu / you.
Yeah, they got to create that market, I think, clearly.
They do.
I do think if they do, a lot of the books have the nationality bets. I would look at Ludwig as
top Scandinavian,
top Scandinavian,
top Swede.
Yeah.
Swede. If you don't like Vic Hovland, because I think he's the other kind of main competition there. But that was a good one. That's been a good one for a couple weeks now. Even if it's juiced to like, not this event, but even if it's juiced to like minus 120 or minus 130 or something, still a good bet.
Yeah. All right, Scottish Open should be a good one, and we'll lead into the last major of the year. It's kind of sad, but it's a good 2-week run. Like you said, a lot of morning golf. There's nothing better than next week, 4 a.m. getting some coffee, getting on Twitter at an insane time in the morning, and it's just nothing. There's nothing quite like the Open Championship, so I cannot wait for that. Johnny, thanks for coming on after such a long, arduous day of yard work. The dedication is appreciated.
Yeah, these hands are just torn apart right now, but I do it for the people.
You got to take care of those hands the next couple of weeks. I mean, yeah, got to soak them or something. I don't know. Just don't let Pat Fitzgerald get to them, man. Sorry, Pat. All right, catch this episode on YouTube. We've put our episodes up on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and we'll have our best bets out for the Scottish Open later in the week. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.